Now we're going to talk about intermittent sitting. And that is because within as little as 30 minutes, our triglyceride levels can rise. Now, triglycerides are normal, but basically, just a quick anatomy lesson, triglycerides can become too high if we eat more calories than we burn. Basically, when we eat more calories, and we will sometimes, they get stored so that we can have that energy in between meals, unless you're like me and you just like to eat all day long. It's not a good idea. But basically, hormones release the stored triglycerides for the energy. So there's nothing really negative. It's just, you know, my mother used to say everything in moderation, and probably some of your mothers did too. And that is just the truth. But the thing about triglycerides, of course, and I'm sure this is why we see heart disease still being the leading cause of death, heart attacks, strokes, too much fat around the waist is an indication that maybe our triglyceride levels are too high. It increases the blood pressure because it actually hardens the walls of the arteries. So, you know, I wish we learned all these things in school. They would be terribly useful, and maybe people would understand when they don't exercise, eat too much sugar, drink too much alcohol, blah, blah, blah. Having said that, I know people who have terrible diets. They're right in my family, and they are defeating the odds. And I'm grateful, but boy, oh boy, what a science experiment to watch certain people just eat and drink to their heart's content, and their heart keeps beating. So I'm, you know, so of course there's something called genetics as well. So basically, and listen, I sit a lot to create these classes, but boy, I get up a lot. And basically, you know, they'll tell you in an hour you should get up at least once. I don't even like waiting that long, but I'm sure certain time passes. So if you're that person who loses sense of time and you end up sitting for 2 or 3 hours, we won't mention any names. Then just remember, your triglyceride levels will increase if you spend too much time sitting on your bum. Now, there are other aspects too, and this is the reason why we're going to do this class today, is just to counteract the effects of sitting. A lot of people have back pain, wonder why. Lots of people feel like their hips are tight and wonder why. The hips, the back, for sure, take a big hit when we sit a lot. Now, if you're sitting, you know, properly and you're really lifting up through your rib cage, great. So I see everyone squirming now, sitting up a little bit taller. I want to start with some neck rolls, because a lot of tension clearly starts between the ears with our thinking and our emotions and na. In fact, I sent a couple of you, but not a lot of you. But if you're interested, let me know, a little podcast of Brene Brown. Because one thing she said was, you know, when things happen that we're not happy about, emotions seem to be in the driver's seat and logic is in the trunk. So, you know, and that's just normal, but until you realize that and take time to, as my yoga teacher would say, don't trust your feelings, examine them before you act upon them. We're going to do some neck rolls, because that's where a lot of tension and stress, especially with the head forward. Now, if sitting cross-legged is uncomfortable for you, either take a chair or sit on a bench, or if you're at home, a firm chair with your feet planted firmly on the ground. Because clearly, if you're not comfortable sitting cross-legged, or you've got knee pain, elevate with something. And, okay, you're using those. That's fine if you like, sure, anything. In fact, I'm hoping to acquire some cushions for next season so we can be more comfortable doing a number of different things. All right, so inhale and lengthen through the root crown of your head. And then feel your sits bones firmly planted. We want to be sitting on top of them. We don't want to be sitting forward of them, or what we would typically be doing if we're sitting in a chair is that we're rolling back. So as best you can, imagine your sits bones pointing straight down and reaching up through the crown of your head. And on an inhale, Lift up, lengthen through your neck, lower your shoulders, at least relax them. Exhale, and lower your chin towards the center of your chest. And inhale, roll your left ear towards your left shoulder. And exhale, and lower your chin towards your chest. Now you're isolating, only your neck and your head are moving. And inhale, turn to the other side with your ear to the opposite, to the same shoulder as the ear. Exhale, release. One more time, back to the first ear with your shoulder. Feel that stretch along the side of your neck, and then exhale for the release. Inhale, last time to the other side, stretching the neck. And exhale, releasing your chin to the center of your chest, and then bring your head back up into the center. Now, typically the head is a lot forward when we're working on our devices. And I have mentioned, just try this for yourself when you're using your phone or you're looking at your tablet or something down on your lap, and all of a sudden you go, oh, wait a minute, I should lift everything up. I just feel the difference in what goes on in your shoulders. Me saying it over and over again isn't worth much compared to you noticing the difference. Now, have a look at this next exercise. This comes out of Tantra Yoga, but I think it's brilliant for releasing stress and tension from your neck, and this will be the last of neck exercises. So you're going to turn quickly to, and I'm not going to do the mirror so I don't get screwed up, you're going to go quick to the left, quick to the right, back to the left corner twice, back to the right corner twice, and then let your head go backwards twice. Okay, now if you notice this is causing any pain or stress, remember if there's pain, there's absolutely no gain. So again, sitting up nice and tall, inhale, exhale, 2 turns to the left, and back to the center, 2 to the right. And then corner back to the left, corner back to the right, and then straight back twice. And let's begin again. Left, right, each of these movements is twice. Back to the left corner, back to the right corner, and straight back. And again, 2 more times, to the left, to the right, back corner left, back corner right, back of the head, center, last time, to the left, to the right, to the back left corner, back right corner, and back. And that will do. Just close your eyes for a moment, relax your shoulders, and just allow the benefits of what we have just done for our necks to be absorbed. Okay, and open your eyes and come on over onto your hands and knees. We'll do a warm-up with cat-cow, and then we're just going to do a couple of wrist exercises. So in cat-cow, remember, spread your fingers wide apart with your middle finger pointing forward. If you can see the wrinkles in your wrists, they should line up with the front of your mat. And have your knees underneath your hips. And make sure you're pressing all 10 fingers into the mat. This releases some of the stress of the wrists as well as the forearms. And try to relax your shoulders. Press them away from your ears. On an exhale, round your spine, drop your tail, tuck your chin and pull your bellies in. On an inhale, if it feels good, curl your toes under as you hollow out your lower back. Lengthen through the chest area as you curve your neck and your head. Eyes rolling up, open or close to your third eye. Exhale, Flatten the tops of your feet. You can leave them flattened the whole time if you like. Keep pressing into your fingers, the heel of your hand. Exhale. Hollow out your lower back. Lengthening, bringing the heart center forward. So you're not jamming things, you're stretching and lengthening. And exhale, articulating each of the vertebrae, stretching the muscles in the back that become compressed. We're going to be working on this today. And then curl the toes under, hollow out your lower back, lift your tail, lift your heart. You're going to move your hearts forward as you curve and lift your heads. Last time, flattening the tops of your feet, rounding your spine, tucking your chin, and curl your toes under and hollow out the lower back, lifting and coming back to neutral. Okay, so for wrist, we're only going to do one at a time. I want you to take, I don't care, start with your left if you like, or right, doesn't matter. We're going to do both. You're going to turn your palm up and have your fingers pointing towards your knees. So I'll just turn sideways here. Okay? Now, don't place too much pressure. If this is too much, you come back. Ideally, you want your wrist underneath your shoulder. So often they'll show you doing both at the same time, but I find this stretch pretty intense. So basically, you want your wrist on the floor, not just your fingers, your wrist. And I'm suggesting you just do one at a time, so you're really being mindful and cautious with what you're doing. And come on out. And sit back for a moment and just give that wrist a bit of a roll out or shake out. Okay, let's try the other one. So again, you're really bending right at the wrist. It's not just the top of your palm on the floor, it's your entire wrist. Clearly, this is stretching the carpal ligament tendon, the carpal tendon, which for some people can go right up into their arms with shooting pain, spending too much time with the hand over the mouse or typing.
To bend elbow if you want.
No, the elbow, no, your wrist is underneath your, you don't need to lock your elbow, but your wrist should be underneath your shoulder. So by doing one at a time, you really can focus on what the feeling is. All right, and that will do, and give that a little bit of a shake out. Okay, and the last one is just in tabletop. We're just going to turn the palms, so now the fingers are facing down, and the fingers, the palms facing down, and the fingers are just out to the side. And again, you want your wrists underneath your shoulders, and you're pressing the heel of your hand into the floor. So this counteracts what is the normal shape of our hands when we're using our devices. I know there's still a couple of people out there that don't have cell phones. I think that's fantastic if you can figure out life without them. My goodness. Okay, and give your wrists a good shake out. Alrighty, so let's take the right leg out to the side. Again, if you need a knee cushion, I put 2 mats here. I'm been thinking about buying a square mat, but I'm nervous online with what you're gonna get because, you know, there's all kinds of junk out there. So every time I look. Anyway, let's take right leg out to the side. Now, ideally, I would like you to have the entire foot on the mat as well as the outside of your foot parallel to the end of your mat. Okay? And then look behind you. Your heel should be facing up towards the ceiling, and your heel is in direct line with your knee. So this is just a modified version of Vashisthasana, the one we do where we hold ourselves up on our arms. We're not going to do that. Okay, so inhale your left arm up, because I'm doing the mirror image. So reach and stretch up and exhale sideways. So stretching out the intercostal muscles. So these are the muscles between the rib cage. This has a greater impact on our ability to fill our lungs, along with a couple other things I'm going to tell you about. And then placing this hand on the floor, now reach the other arm up and over. So you have a line of energy from the outside of your back foot along your side body. And it's interesting, we think about that we're breathing from our chest, the front of our body, but most breathing takes place in the back of the body. Did you know that? Didn't know that. It's amazing. Okay. And release. And fold your leg back in and take it out to the other side. No, and it's interesting because I know people who do what they call face plants for sleeping. I tend to sleep on my tummy, but I'm going to talk to you about why face planting might be a good idea sometimes. But okay, so now other leg is out to the side. Again, have a look that your foot is as much as possible flat on the floor with the outside of the foot parallel to the back of your mat. It's going to change the way the stretch is in your inner thigh. It's going to change up a bunch of stuff. Okay, and then reach the right arm up and over to the straight leg side. Try to keep your shoulders stacked one on top of the other as opposed to the top shoulder collapsing forward. And inhale up. Place that hand on the floor. Reach the other arm up. And again, you're trying to create a straight line from the outside of your back foot along your rib cage. Breathing into the left side of your body. Exhale and float that arm down, and that will do. Curl your toes under. And let's keep the knees bent, letting your upper body hang. So again, you know, if we're sitting in a chair, if we were in an office and it wasn't appropriate to do any yoga or anything like that, you can definitely bend over in a chair. Just reversing the blood flow is helpful when we do this small inversion. And then letting your arms hang, keeping your chin tucked into your chest. Let your head be the last thing to come up. Okay, and then let's review a little bit of alignment. How are we for heat? We good? Turn it down? We're okay. Okay, so remember, if you lift your toes off the floor, you feel your big toe mount pressing into the floor, no doubt. Can you also feel your baby toe mount pressing into the floor? And when we do this, think about lifting up in the arches. They'll already be somewhat lifted from just lifting your toes off the floor in the center front of your heel. Now, some of us are born with flatter feet than others. And then just gently lower your toes down onto the floor. Now, I'd like your feet to be about hip width apart and the outsides of your feet parallel to the outsides of your mat. We're going to do half sun salutation. So look down, make sure that your feet are the outsides of your feet. I know it's typical, we want to stand with our toes turned out, but there's better alignment when your feet are parallel to one another. Keep your thighs engaged. Remember last week we talked about knee health? When your thighs are engaged in your standing, you protect your knees. Because the knees don't have any muscles, they depend on the muscles of your thighs. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead, turn the palms out, bend your knees, exhale, swan dive your torso onto your thighs, and tent your fingers just outside of and in front of your feet. On an inhale, Lift your hips, shine your tailbone. If you can't straighten your legs, it's okay. But feel the stretch in the backs of your knees, your calves, your hamstrings. Exhale, bend your knees, drop your hips, press your shoulders back and lengthen your spine. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, circling them up and overhead. Exhale, turn the palms out, taking up as much space as you can. Inhale. Turn the palms out. Exhale. Swan diving your torso. It should be on your thighs. Inhale. Try to keep your belly glued to your thighs as you lift your hips and let your head hang. Relax your neck. Don't hold on. Exhale. Drop your hips. You're coming into a tuck position. Again, this is strengthening the muscles that support your knees. Shoulders back, lengthen spine. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up. Exhale, float the arms down, taking up lots of space. Inhale. Turn the palms out, exhale, swan dive, fingertips tented. Inhale, lift the hips, let the crown of your head hang. Feel the stretch in the backs of your legs. Maybe you're getting a little closer to the floor, maybe fingertips, maybe palms. Exhale, drop your hips, shoulders back, lengthen spine. Inhale, sweeping out and up overhead. Exhale, float the arms down, and this will be the last time coming up. Inhale, your toes are on a holiday here. They don't have to do anything. Turn the palms out, feel your big toe mounts and your baby toe mount, center front of your heel, pressing through the floor. And inhale, let your head hang. Imagine your spine like a string of pearls. Let it go. Let your neck go. Let your head go. And then bend your left leg. Place your left hand on your right instep and sweep the other arm up, reaching up, twisting, opening up the lower spine. Exhale, float that arm down. Let's bend the opposite leg. Place the hand on the other instep and inhale and sweep the other arm up. Great stretch too for the shoulder blade area, the back of your body. And exhale, float it down. And then on an inhale, let's slowly roll up one vertebra at a time, letting your head be the last thing to come up. Okay, so we're going to, if you have socks on, if they don't have stickies on them, time to take them off. We're going to first come into a high lunge. My sister will be disgusted with all this paper. It was funny too, I was talking to my insurance agent yesterday, trying to find my stuff online, and they said we're in a paperless society. No, we're not. I have more paper than ever, thanks to the paperless society. You don't have the paper, because you don't mail it to me. I could just, okay, that's my rant for now, but, okay, so in a lunge, which is different from Warrior One, in a lunge, instead of placing your foot sideways on the floor, you actually place pressure on the ball of your foot and let the heel come up towards the ceiling, okay? So we're gonna do a high lunge with cactus arms, and I guess I should do it like this now that I have these two mats here, okay? So you're bending your front knee, you don't have to bend too far, and then cactus arms, and then press them back. Press them back. So you should be able to feel this between the shoulder blades. And breathe. Focus your gaze if you ever feel as if you're losing your balance. And release. Give your legs a good shake out. And let's do the other side. So remember, you're standing on the ball of the back foot with the heel, the back heel pointing up. Now, the back foot's always going to be the anchor of your posture, so make sure you're really pressing into the ball of that foot. Nice stretch, too, for your plantar fascia to avoid plantar fasciitis. Yeah. Press the elbows back. Cactus arms. So you may be feeling like you're using muscles that you haven't used, or they are in a super stretched position from this to that. And release. Give your hands a good shake out. I feel like it's really warm in here. Yeah, we got to shut her down. There we go. All this lovely, but warm is good. Okay, warrior one, and we're going to transition. Now this is where you may want your blocks up at the front of your mat. So, in warrior one, you're going to step your right foot back and your left foot is forward. Now, some people would say you can't orientate your body to the front of your mat in warrior one. Well, as I said, separate your feet. Okay? Normally, in a warrior one, they'll tell you your heels should line up. Well, if you do, then you can't orientate your chest, your shoulders, and your hips towards the front of your mat without risking injury. All right? But your back foot will be flat on the floor and your toes are pointing forward, whatever amount you need in order to have your hips, chest, shoulders orientated to the front of your mat. Bend your front knee, sweep your arms up. You're holding that invisible beach ball. So your back leg is mostly straight, but the knee is not locked, and your front leg, of course, is bent. Feel your torso working here. Both the lunge and warrior one work your hip flexors. We need them. Get in and out of a car, get in and out of a bathtub, get up and down from seating. All right, now take your arms behind your back. Interlock your fingers and squeeze your shoulders together. Lift your hearts, lift your gaze, keep your legs as they are, your front leg bent, your back leg mostly straight. Exhale, lengthen as you fold, lead with your hearts. And let the crown of your head float down. Arms are coming up, whatever amount your shoulders will allow today. And then release your arms and let's bring your hands onto your front knee. Let's come back into warrior one more time. And then we're going to transition into front forward bend. Now, you're going to straighten your front leg. You're going to lift up out of your waist. This is where you might want your blocks. Reaching up, stretching up, exhale, reach forward. Stretch before you fold. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And then this is where, if you need the height, you put your blocks on the floor. If you fingers reach, then you don't need your blocks. Now, you can bend your back knee if you need to, but I'm hoping that you can keep your front leg straight. Reason being is that our hamstrings, there are 3 of them on the back of our legs. These guys shorten and tighten up. They insert into your sit bones, which we hope we're sitting straight upwards on top of when we're seated, not rocking back. And then they originate there and they attach to the tibia and fibula in the lower part of the leg. For those people who get sciatica, that nerve runs through these muscles. So everything we're doing in yoga is to open and create space for the sciatic nerve so it doesn't become irritated. If it does, gentle stretching can sometimes release the irritation. So you're lengthening your spine. I would rather you lengthen your spine than round it. And then bend your front knee and sweep the arms back up into warrior one, and then lower your arms down and give your legs a good shake out. And let's try this on the other side. So, front leg is 90 degrees forward, back leg, whatever you need, but separate them so that you have no trouble orientating. Separate them whatever amount you need. Some people say a railroad track, I don't care, whatever it takes, so you don't feel like you're torquing anything to keep your hips, your chest, and your shoulders square on. And then bend your front knee and inhale and sweep the arms up. You're holding that invisible beach ball. It'll be time for that soon. I hope we're going to have a nice hot summer with rain at nighttime only. Okay, then take your arms behind you, interlock your fingers, squeeze your shoulder blades together. This lifts and opens up your chest. Exhale, forward fold, lengthen as you fold, reaching the arms up and overhead as much as you can. And please let your head hang. And then release your hands. You can bring them onto your front knee if you want to help yourself up. Come back into warrior one. And basically in warrior one, we like to have our shoulders right over our hips as opposed to reaching forward. Now straighten your front leg. Lift up out of your waist. Exhale, reach forward, keep stretching, reaching, using your blocks to add height should you need it, or tenting your fingers on the floor. Now, can you step that front leg back and just take a downward dog? Be the only dog of our class, and just walk your dog. Slowly pressing one heel towards the floor. Give your head a swing, then relax your neck. Let your head, your ears align with your upper arms. Slowly changing. So this opens the hips, it reverses circulation, it lengthens your spine, it stretches your hamstrings, your calves. All of these things in a contracted state reduce circulation in the body. So, it's no wonder we feel exhausted, tired. The body loves to move. It also likes to be still. We got to find that balance. Again, changing. And then walk your feet forward. Knees are soft. Let the head just hang, pressing the soles of the feet into the floor. Lift your toes off the floor so you really get in touch with pressing into the balls of the big toes, the toe mount, the baby toe mount, and then slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. Head is the last thing to come up. And give yourself a shake out. And we're going to do one more, then you're going to get to lie down. Okay, so now we're going to do warrior two. along with side angle bend, Parsvakonasana, just to stretch through these intercostals. Then we're going to work on the back side of the body, and I'm going to tell you all about why lying on your tummy is a good thing. So you can think about it when you're at the beach this summer, because it's good to tan both sides, right? Okay, so come up to the front of your mats. Send your right leg back. Now, we're not orientating our body to the front of the mat when we're in Warrior Two. Our body's actually towards the side of the mat. You want your front leg, however, 90 degrees forward, so perpendicular to the top of your mat. And then your back foot should be at least one leg length apart, if possible. And you want to align from the front heel through the arch of your back foot. So have a look that your heel of your front foot is creating a straight line through the arch of your back foot. Not to your heel, it should go through the arch. So I'm looking at a few people here. You might want to move either your front foot so that it really creates better alignment through the arch of your back foot. Okay? Now, once again, if you lift your toes off the floor, you can feel whether or not your entire foot is grounding and rooted into the floor. It's not going to be about your toes in these positions. And then bend your front knee. Remember, the knee is directly over the ankle. And you want your knee to track over your second and third toes. Press into the outside of your back foot. Both of your adductor muscles should be engaged. If they're not, it's because we're collapsing. And when we collapse, this is where we get into knee, hip issues and flatter feet than we may already possess. Okay. Inhale, sweep the arms up, front and back. Lower your shoulders, lengthen your neck. Imagine a plumb line right through the center of your head, coming down through the center of your body. Relax your shoulders here. Become aware of your adductor muscles, your inner thigh muscles firing. If they're firing, you are probably in good alignment. If they're not, you've lost your alignment. So press into the outside of your back foot and keep that front knee tracking over the center of your foot. Alrighty. Now we're going to bring our front forearm onto our front thigh. You're going to take your back arm down, around, sweep it up and over your ear. So now you should have a line of energy. Nice, everybody. Straighten that top arm as much as you can. Energy through those fingertips. You're reaching, you're stretching to get something. $100 bill. That'll get you a coffee and a donut. So, Parsvakonasana, stretching the intercostal muscles. Inhale, come on up. Turn your feet and pivot, and let's do the other side so we can have a different view. Once again, make sure the heel of your front foot is creating a straight line through the arch of your back foot. And then bend your front knee no further than your ankle, or look at your calf. It should line up with the edge of your heel. Press into the outside of your back foot. Inhale, sweep the arms up to shoulder height. Exhale, lower your shoulders, lifting up at your sternum. If you take your toes off the floor, you will feel your big toe mount and your baby toe mount and the center front of your heel pressing through the earth. And then lower your front forearm onto your front thigh. Take your back arm down around in front of you and sweep it over your ear, and energy right out through those fingertips. You're pressing into the outside of your back foot, stretching and opening up the intercostal muscles. This gives the lungs more room to expand. And remember, the alveoli, where the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide along with the blood that's in the oxygen, or the oxygen in the blood, pardon me, the oxygenated blood. This is where the exchange takes place. You need that space. That's why we breathe deep. And then inhale, and staying sideways on your mat, turn your feet out, engage your thighs, fold halfway forward, tabletop your spine, tense your fingers on the floor, your legs are straight here. We're gonna inhale, sweep the left arm up, reaching up, stretching that inner adductor thigh muscle that we've worked on. Exhale, float it down. Inhale, sweep the other arm up. Exhale, and float it down. And as promised, you get to lie down. Take a sip of water if you would like at this point. And while you're lying down, if you feel inclined to draw your knees up into your chest and do anything like that, please go for it. So when you're lying on your back, it's called you're being supine. When we move on to our stomach, it's called being prone. And proning, lying on our stomachs, decreases the amount of weight and compression on our lungs. The reason for that is that the heart and the abdominal organs, when we're lying on our tummies, the heart and the abdominal organs are pressing into the chest, not into the lungs. So I hope that makes sense. Obviously, it's still great to be on your back and lying down. So just spend a moment paying attention to your breathing. So it's not bad to be on your back, of course, but the fact that people who have difficulty with breathing, they'll often turn them onto their stomachs for this reason. It's called proning. So we are going to move into this prone position. Take a couple more minutes to allow your breath to infuse every cell in your body. Exhaling carbon dioxide. There's going to be a lot more prana in the air as the trees and plants begin to bud and grow back their leaves. All righty, roll over onto your bellies, coming into a prone position. So we have more lung tissue in the backs of our bodies than in the front of our bodies. So I want you to think about this when we're practicing Salabhasana. Now, two options here for arms. We're either going to interlock our fingers on our back as we lift our head, neck, shoulders, and feet. But if that doesn't feel comfortable for whatever reason, please just leave your arms out at the side, whichever you prefer. But of course, if we interlock our fingers, we definitely get our shoulders back. But if you have any shoulder, arm issues, be careful. And just leave your arms apart. On an inhale, roll an invisible alley with your nose to lengthen your neck, pressing your hips and pelvis into the floor. Lift your head, neck, shoulders, chest, arms, and legs, coming into Salabhasana. Clearly, we are now assuming the opposite position that we would be taking when we are sitting in a chair. So if you're feeling like, wow, this is hard, my muscles, yeah, It is. We're fighting against gravity and we're using muscles that, for the most part, are neglected most of the day. And if we're sitting a lot, I don't know, I haven't seen the word abuse when it comes to muscles, but we might even think of that if we're not using them. One more breath in. Exhale, release your arms. Please turn your head to the right. Let your shoulders melt, big toes touch, and heels splay out. So yes, this is a cardiovascular exercise. All back bends are. And as I've said many times, the fronts of our bodies store aggression and the backs of our bodies store fear. So sometimes our backs are a little weaker because we've got some fear hanging around. And we all have fear about one thing or another. But it's good to examine our feelings sometimes, not to rush through life and let all these feelings either numb us or be stuffed down. And that's one of the things, like Brene Brown, I'm sure some of you are familiar with her work. And if you're not, I find her very inspiring, easy to understand, and try to put into practice what she's talking about. Okay, bring your head back to the center. Let's bend the right leg. Can you reach around and grab the ankle? And if you can't reach the ankle, just keep the leg bent and lift the leg up in the air. If you can reach the ankle, then you've got a little bit of help pulling the leg up, stretching the quadriceps and the hip flexors. So remember the quadriceps, there's 4 of them. These are really key to supporting, protecting the knee joint. Those 4 muscles become one tendon that cover the patella and connect to the lower part of the leg, the tibia bone, and release. Okay, so either bend and lift the other leg, or again, as I said, if you can reach around to grab the ankle of the left leg, and if not, just lift the leg by itself, stretching. Obviously, there's more stretch if you can hold onto the leg, but if you're not, you're activating your muscles, so it's all good either way. And release. Okay, take your arms out to shoulder height now. Your legs are together. You're going to lift the right leg up, bend it at the knee, and roll over onto your left hip. And try to tap the floor with your big toe. And bring it back up and over. Other leg bent. Roll over onto the right hip. Try to tap the floor with your big toe. And back. Once again, right leg bends. Rolling over onto your left hip, tap the toe, back over and down. And opposite leg, tap, and back over and down. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders, press up, and let's take our modified child's pose. If you're able to bend your knees a lot, your knees should be as wide as your mat. Big toes touch, flatten the tops of your feet, take your time. Back in the day, I used to always get cramps when I did this. Now, almost never, so just be patient if you get cramps in the top of your feet. And of course, if bending your knees 90 degrees is not working for you, keep your knees under your hips. Keep your bum in the air and come into puppy pose. Either way, please focus on the back, upper back, where your lungs are pushing as they fill with oxygen, and this is where the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen takes place. So notice 70 to 80% of our breathing takes place in the back of our bodies, not the front. Inhale, come on up, and come into a seated posture. Legs straight out in front. Seated forward bend, Paschimottanasana. It doesn't matter if you can only go this far forward or you can go this far forward. I don't care. What I want you to focus on is keeping your spine nice and long, shoulders down as much as possible. So pull the flesh away from your sits bones. So get in touch with your ischial tuberosities. These are the bones that your 3 hamstrings on either side insert into. So you're going to be stretching these guys. These guys get shortened when we sit a lot. And they attach into your tibia and fibula, your bones in your lower leg. So they're nice long muscles. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Lift up out of your waist. Reach up, stretch up. Lead with your hearts. Keep your spine nice and long. Keep reaching forward. Stretching and reaching. And then let your hands organically fall upon whatever part of your leg or foot anatomy they land on. So maybe you find that you've overstretched and you're rounding your back, so come on up a bit. Lengthen from tailbone, right up your spine, right through the crown, and then maybe hanging on to your ankles or your feet or your calves as leverage. Perhaps you can pull gently with awareness to lengthen your spine. Do a little more stretching. Your hammies are probably firing. If they're not, you may not be stretching enough here, but please don't do too much. Like tuning a stringed instrument, you don't want it to be too tight nor too loose. So breathe into this stretch. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to release. One more breath in to lengthen. Last exhale. And then walk your hands back up your legs and just sit tall in Dandasana for a moment. Shoulders relaxed. Again, you're reaching from your tailbone right up through the crown. And let's take Baddha Konasana. Bringing the soles of the feet together, lift yourself up from behind. Do a little rocking from side to side. Maybe forwards and backwards. And then you're reaching with your knees down towards the floor. Inhale to lengthen up through the front of your body. And you can sit like this, or you can fold forward, whatever you feel. This posture, of course, stretches the inner thighs, your adductor muscles. It also externally rotates your femur, big upper leg bone, in its socket. And because it's springtime, it kind of cleans out the sexual organs and glands, releasing toxins, exhaustion. It's revitalizing, let's put it that way. And if anybody knows of any local bee, honey producers, I have heard that if you take the honey, eat the honey of a bee that eats the local pollen, it'll be like a homeopathic remedy for allergies, which I am experiencing. It makes sense, but I need somebody to find out who you want to have the pollen that's nearest to you. I mean, listening to CBC radio this morning telling me to close the windows. Oh, thanks. Oh, God. Yeah, I'm going to be going down there and have a word with these people. Yesterday, they said partly cloudy one too many times. I pretty near lost my mind. It was sunny all day. Stop it. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. And come on back up. Draw your knees together. Take a sip of water if you need. And then bring yourselves over onto your backsides. Supine. Have a super supine moment. And again, draw your knees into your chest, or you can windshield wipe with your knees bent and your feet on the edges of your mat, and just gently release and stretch out your lower back. That's an option. You can also, of course, straighten one leg, bend another, and bring that bent knee over to the opposite side. So much we can do to make ourselves feel better, more open, more relaxed. And once you assume your final posture for absorbing the benefits of your performance, with your eyes closed, let your eyeballs sink into their sockets. Allow the skin of your eyelids to become smooth. Separate the biting surfaces of the teeth. Relax the jaw. And let your body be soft and heavy. Inhaling, sun, warm, yellow, positive. Exhaling, moon, cool, blue, negative. Sun, warm, yellow, positive. Moon, cool, blue, negative. Sun, warm, yellow, positive. Moon, cool, blue, negative. Sun, warm, yellow, positive. Cool, blue, moon, negative. A friend just told me that someone who was very healthy, or at least mobile and alert, died at the age of 97. And I said, well, that, and they were kind of shocked. And I said, well, that just reminds me of a yogic expression. If we do yoga all our lives, we never get old. We die before we get old. When you're ready, roll over onto your right side if that feels okay, or the other if that's better. Bending your knees, using your bottom arm as a pillow. Just spend a moment reflecting on the beauty of a human birth, of opportunities to experience nature in its rebirth, and how amazing nature is in its ability to sleep when it's supposed to sleep and awaken when it's supposed to, in spite of all of the trials and tribulations of what's going on. And maybe we can be inspired to also sleep when we're supposed to and awaken when it's time, and show up in all of our glory. Using your top arm to press yourselves up into a seated position when you're ready. If you wish, join me in chanting Om out loud, but you can also do it silently, inhaling together. Om. Did you hear the bumblebee at the end of that? Om Shanti Namaste. Have a beautiful day. Salutation, prostration, memories, always Swami Shivananda. Sages, lamas, and swamis, under my teacher acts on my own inner guru. Okay, let's go forth with a big smile.